A 14-year-old Muslim teenager is put in handcuffs and taken to juvenile detention center after bringing a clock to school. His teacher thought it was a bomb.
No, I never said anything about I have a bomb. Never. It made me feel like I wasn't human. It made me feel like a criminal.
Under Texas law, a person is guilty of possessing a hoax bomb if he possesses a device that is intended to cause anyone to be alarmed or a reaction of any type by law enforcement officers. No charges will be filed and the case is considered closed.
All right, CrimeSider reporter Julia Dahl is here with me to talk about this. Julia, thanks for coming over. First, explain how the student ended up being arrested.
Right. So 14-year-old Ahmed Muhammad, who lives in Irving, Texas, went to high school. Apparently his hobby, told the Dallas Morning News, his hobby is inventing things. So he makes stuff, like we're always excited about kids doing. He made a clock the night before on Sunday night, and on Monday he went to school to show his teacher, look, I made a clock, it works.
And this is a picture of it.
Right. So he apparently showed his engineering teacher the clock. The engineering teacher, thought it was fine. And then he showed his English teacher a couple periods later. For whatever reason, we do not know at this point, the English teacher had a totally different reaction. And she apparently thought that it was a bomb. She confiscated it and contacted the school resource officer, who's sort of a police officer that resides in the school. And they brought him in and started questioning him.
It's unbelievable. This kid was wearing a NASA t-shirt. Apparently, he's a little bit of a science geek.
Yeah.
Much of the conversation around this case is centered around the student's name and his religion. Let's just call that for what it is. You spoke to the Council of American Islamic Relations. What are they saying? Right.
So they're saying that, if Ahmed Muhammad had been named Scott Brown and been white, this would never have happened. They specifically said that, that they think this incident would not have occurred if he hadn't had an identifiably Muslim name. The police say different. They said they would have reacted the same way had it been a white student, that it was a suspicious device. But obviously social media and the rest of the world seem to disagree.
Let's talk about the school's response. They sent a letter home to the families. What did it say?
Right. So the letter was didn't address the incident specifically. The school is still saying they can't talk about it, that there's privacy concerns, that they want the parents to sign off. But basically, the letter reminded parents to tell their students not to bring what they call prohibited items to school and to report any suspicious activity.
Is a clock a prohibited item at that school?
I can't imagine it is, but obviously what they're focused on is this idea that it was a bomb, which the police say it absolutely was not a bomb. Ahmed Muhammad has said, and the police have said that he was questioned over and over and over, and he always said, this is a clock, this is a clock, this is not a bomb.
All right, let's talk about this is a new paradigm we're living in right now, the enormous social media response to this story. There's a hashtag trending. People are really taking notice of this and talking about it on social media.
Right, so Barack Obama tweeted, cool clock kid, come to the White House and show me this is what makes America great. And he's not the only one. People all over the world are tweeting, I stand with Ahmed. There's pictures of, other Muslim-looking men with clocks,
NASA scientists are inviting him to NASA.
Exactly, inviting him to his lab. One of the guys who works on the Mars rover saying, come and test drive the Mars rover.
What?
Again, sort of saying this kind of science and ingenuity is exactly what we want in our kids. Do not be thwarted because of what's happened.
And, Julia, I listened to Ahmad with that soundbite that we used earlier. We're not even talking about the larger issue, which is how he feels. He says he felt less than human, and how this is going to impact him just going forward, that he was arrested for doing something that he loved, for a passion that he had, science.
Right. The spokesperson for the Council on American Islamic Relations, who's been working with the family, told me that the family's really concerned that this is going to be on his record. He is reportedly still suspended from school. The school wouldn't confirm that, but all accounts are that he's been suspended for school for basically doing what we kind of tell kids to do.
And we just put up a tweet there, if we can put it up again, from Ahmad, essentially. There it is. Thank you, fellow supporters. We can band together to stop this racial inequality and prevent this from happening again. Julia Dahl, thank you very much. Great reporting. Appreciate it. Remember, you can read up on stories like this one and all other big crime news of the day at cbsnews.com/CrimeSider.